If I see another movie with blue people running around in tribal markings, headdresses, and dreads, I'm gonna lose it. When I watched the first Avatar, I thought it was okay. I thought the CGI and VFX were stunning, the world's beautiful, and the story pretty compelling. Fast forward a couple years and me learning more about James Cameron and his real inspirations behind the movie, and I think I can safely say that I'm no longer a fan. Besides the fact that the first movie is basically the white savior trope personified, where Jake Sully falls for a Navi woman Pocahontas style and saves the primitive race from colonization, Cameron has seemingly not made much of an effort to uplift indigenous voices at all, despite blatantly ripping off their culture, jewelry, and traditions. There are like 3 indigenous actors and like a handful of black actors in the entire Avatar franchise, despite the fact that Cameron himself credits Native Americans and African tribes for his inspiration, decking the Navi tribe in tribal markings, headdresses, and literally designing them in the spitting image of indigenous and African peoples. It also doesn't seem like he's actually hired cultural consultants to advise him on the cultures that he's blatantly appropriating either. And you might say, well, Maya, what about that one time that he went to Brazil to help out those indigenous Brazilians? And sure, I guess props to him for bringing an entire filming crew and basically personifying the white savior trope again, this time as the real life Jake Sully. But that doesn't change the fact that when talking about the Lakota Sioux, a Native American tribe, he said, in quotes, I couldn't help but think that if the Lakota Sioux had had a time window and they could see the future and they could see their kids committing suicide at the highest suicide rates in the nation because they were a hopeless and a dead end society, they would have just fought a lot harder. Because if they didn't want to be colonized, they should have just fought back a lot harder, right? And I guess it's also totally fine to admit to sexualizing and fetishizing the indigenous Navi woman to catch the eye of the white colonizer to appeal to men, right? And don't even get me started on the photos of the newest tribe he's created for his new movie. These look oddly familiar, right? I guess he's just doing a grand tour of Africa, all the way from Sudan to Namibia. Look, if he at least made an effort to hire and learn from cultural consultants and aid the people he's taking inspiration from, I'd be somewhat okay with this. But when you couple this with his true thoughts on indigenous people and this never-ending movie franchise that doesn't seem to offer any nuanced or interesting perspectives, I just have to pass. This entire movie series reeks of white saviorism, and the newest movie, which seems to focus on tribal warfare, is just not up to par with other movies in this genre that seek to grapple with actually interesting social and environmental issues.